Hello, and welcome to the next module. This is Nutrition for Postpartum Healing. So, before we start, I just want to make it very clear that even though we're going to be talking about nutrition, I want to emphasize that the most important thing is getting food and liquid into your body during this time. Please don't let this module overwhelm you because ultimately you're doing the right thing for yourself and your child if you're eating and drinking enough. And when you have the bandwidth to think more about what you're putting in your body, then this module is for you. But please, if this is causing you more stress or more anxiety, I beg of you, don't let it. So, that being said, let's get started. So, I do believe that food is the foundation of healing. I think that supplements are good. I think that medication has its place, but I also think that if we fuel our bodies the right way, we can optimize our healing and possibly even speed it up. So, nutrition provides that fuel our bodies need to function optimally, and subpar nutrients can mean subpar outcomes. So, in this module, we're going to address how we can utilize foods to get the optimal nutrients for healing. I kind of felt that a nutrition overview was warranted here because while some of you may be very familiar with the ins and outs of nutrition science, it still maybe would be good to have a refresher on some of these things. And if you're not familiar, this could be new for you. But before we talk about the nutrients specific to optimize healing, let's just go over generally what are the things made of that we put into our body. So here we go. The macronutrients are fat, protein, and carbohydrates. I'm going to go over briefly just what is the purpose of each of these macronutrients. Fat. So fat is very satiating. It helps absorb nutrients and minerals. There are some vitamins and minerals that cannot be properly absorbed in the body without fat. Fat are the building blocks for our cell membranes. It provides slow burning energy. It's an ingredient in hormones. It protects and cushions our organs, and it really helps build our baby's brain during pregnancy and then afterwards if we are breastfeeding. Protein provides the building blocks for our tissues. There are proteins that are enzymes, which serve as catalysts for very important processes within the body. Antibodies are proteins that fight infection. Protein is also an ingredient in hormones, and hemoglobin is a protein that helps oxygen travel through the bloodstream to get to the rest of our body. Carbohydrates provide quick energy. They promote the growth of body tissues. Fiber, a lot of foods that are carbohydrates also have fiber, and fiber helps pull toxins from the body, and fiber is what keeps blood sugar in check, especially when we're eating potentially sugary foods like a whole piece of fruit has the sugar for the quick energy, but it also has fiber so that sugar doesn't spike in our blood too quickly. I highlight the purpose of these macronutrients to emphasize that we are, as humans, supposed to have, in general, a balanced diet of these three macronutrients. Different people's body chemistries are different, so the ratio of these macronutrients will be different for each person. If you already know what works for you, fantastic. But during this healing time, I recommend that you do get a balance of everything and not restrict any of these food groups. Along with macronutrients, we have micronutrients, which are vitamins and minerals. So vitamins, the vitamin A, all of the 8 B vitamins, vitamin C, D, E, and K. So these vitamins are involved in metabolism, digestion, and elimination of waste. They're important in immune function, tissue growth, vitality, and prevention of deficiencies and related disorders, because there are disorders that are specifically related to a deficiency of a certain vitamin or nutrient. Minerals are those things like calcium, iron, zinc, etc. They help contract and relax our muscles. If we are having issues like, say, in pregnancy, if you had restless leg syndrome or if you had muscle twitches or whatever, that was probably and likely related to a mineral deficiency. Minerals help maintain our pH balance in our blood. They provide structural support in our bones and tissues. They also help with the integrity of cell membranes, and they regulate tissue growth. So while you may know a lot of these things already, it's kind of interesting to have that refresher of like, oh, right, it is important to get a balanced diet with a variety of foods because we need all of these things to contribute to our body's processes, and what fuels our body is very important for how it can function. So let's move on to nutrients for healing. So it's not that all of the nutrients I just mentioned aren't all important for our body to function, but let's focus on the ones listed here specifically for healing because we can't possibly focus on everything. So let's focus on the most important things. We've got water, amino acids, electrolytes, zinc, vitamin C, iron, omega-3 fatty acids, and iodine. And I'm going to go through each one of these things and tell you why it's important, even though you might already know. Okay, so we all know it's good to drink water. I get it, right? But let's talk about some of the benefits. So water helps get nutrients around the body. It improves oxygen distribution. It moistens our passageways. It cushions organs and joints. It helps cells communicate with each other. It maintains electrical cell properties, which also help cells communicate with each other and around the body. Water removes waste and flushes toxins via our kidneys. Water regulates body temperature, and it empowers our natural healing process. So a lot of people might argue that water is the most important thing we need because it is. Without it, as we can tell from the symptoms of dehydration, a lot of bodily functions start to fail when we are dehydrated, and a lot of bad medical things can happen if we're dehydrated. So water, of course, is important. And water can actually make you feel more energized. So who wouldn't want that postpartum? The reason why I don't have a source for that fact is because there are so many studies out there documenting the destructive results of dehydration. So you can even just Google dehydration and see all of the negative effects, some of which are sluggishness and fatigue. So there you go. We will talk more in the next video about what counts as hydration and how to maximize it in our daily life. So amino acids, many of you may know, they're the building blocks of protein. They create neurotransmitters, which help our brain communicate with our body and complete our body processes efficiently. They are ingredients in muscle production because they're the building blocks of protein. They participate in hormone production and RNA and DNA regulation. So this is a big reason why we need protein in our diet. Electrolytes. We all know that, sports and in any kind of recovery, you need to rebuild your electrolytes. So that's why Gatorade is so popular, right? But Gatorade isn't the healthiest way to restore our electrolytes. We'll talk about that more in the next video. But basically, electrolytes are minerals within the body. The electrolytes are sodium, calcium, potassium, magnesium, chloride, and phosphate. They regulate muscle contractions. So therefore, if you are low on electrolyte or if you have electrolyte deficiency, you may have muscle cramps and other muscle-related difficulties. Electrolytes help your body absorb water, which is why a lot of electrolyte drinks are said to improve your body's hydration, like even more than just drinking regular water. And it's probably true. They help maintain your pH levels because your pH levels has to do with the ratio of certain minerals within your blood. They play a role in nerve, muscle, heart, and brain function. Signs of electrolyte imbalance include headaches, fatigue, nausea, malaise, which means I feel bad, muscle cramps, and blood pressure changes. All of which, can make you feel even worse, especially when you're postpartum and you're trying to heal. Zinc and vitamin C. So zinc is a micronutrient important for healing. It helps tissue regrowth, coagulation, which is blood clotting, immune defense, and scar formation. Vitamin C is a vitamin that aids production of collagen and connective tissues. It may shorten the duration of second-degree perineal tear healing even more than zinc. So I got that from a source from the NIH, an article called Zinc in Wound Healing Modulation. And while both zinc and vitamin C help with wound healing, vitamin C actually was shown in that study to be more effective at speeding up healing. So just FYI. Iron. Basically, whether or not you were anemic during pregnancy, you need to replenish the iron you lost during childbirth, because no matter how you gave birth, you have lost some blood. And it's especially true if you experience postpartum hemorrhage, which would be considered heavy bleeding after birth, up to 2 cups for vaginal birth and 4 cups for C-section. Sorry if that's uncomfortable to hear, but it's true. We do need to replenish our iron stores. So postpartum anemia results in fatigue and weakness and often longer recovery time. We will talk more in our next videos about how to replenish our iron stores and what supplements are best for this. Omega-3s. So we all hear so much about how omega-3s are good for us, but in this case, it really is important to have that as part of your postpartum vitamin routine, and also to get it through foods, because it may reduce the incidence of postpartum depression, in the sense that deficiency of omega-3s are a risk factor for postpartum depression. So omega-3 fatty acids are beneficial for the baby's brain, eye, immune system, and nervous system development, and that's true. So it's true for pregnancy and also true for postpartum, especially if we are breastfeeding. Not to mention, we want to replenish our own stores. So DHA from the mother is transferred to the baby at a higher rate as the pregnancy progresses. So by the 3rd trimester, we are giving our baby a lot of the DHA and good fats, basically, to produce their brain and organs. And that means that we're suffering. So the baby gets what they need, but we then are left suffering. So then we give birth, and which is so depleting, and we need to restore our own reserves of this and promote our healing and our mental well-being going forward by replacing it in our diet and possibly through supplementation. Consider the source. Doing that is important, and we'll talk more about that. And consider omega-3s versus omega-6 ratios, and those are different kinds of fat in our diet. It has become prevalent in our society with people's fear of saturated fats to focus so much on unsaturated fats, which a lot of which are omega-6s, that we have so much omega-6 in our diet and not enough omega-3, and that ratio needs to be more balanced. Iodine. So you may have seen iodine before. It's that yellow orangey liquid substance that you see here. It's often used in the treatment of wounds. It's a topical antimicrobial. It's nutritionally essential to produce thyroid hormones, which means our body does not produce it naturally. We need to get it from the outside. It's the main reason why our salt is a lot of table salt is iodized salt, because we as a country weren't getting enough iodine in our diet. And so that's why they started iodizing salt. I don't personally use iodized salt, but I try to get iodine in other forms. We will talk more about this, but a lot of seafood type products are a good way to get that. Iodine promotes growth and development, and inadequate intake during pregnancy can actually lead to brain damage in the baby. So it is often part of prenatal vitamin as well. So great. Congratulations. You're a nutrition expert now. Just kidding. But I do believe that knowing the foundations of nutrition for healing is important to reinforce motivation for fueling yourself postpartum. So don't worry. I know a lot of this may have been overwhelming. I hope that it didn't seem totally unnecessary for me to include this information, because I do think it's important for us to have just a basic knowledge of what's important for our body to get, not only in general, but specifically during postpartum for healing, so that we can maximize our healing and, minimize our time spent in recovery. So again, don't worry. I'll teach you how to implement this knowledge in the upcoming videos and try to make it not overwhelming. If there's anything that you can think of that I didn't include or that you'd like to learn more about or have me dive deeper into, I am absolutely happy to do that. So please include that in the surveys. Next up, we're talking about nutrients for breastfeeding. If you want to skip this, if this part isn't for you, totally fine. We will pick up with implementing nutrients into our diet in the following video. I'll see you then.